Ciao, Claudia.
Ciao, Anand.
Very nice to see you.
Very nice to see you too. It's a great pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And
today my guest is Claudia Archetti. She's an
yes.
associate professor in OR at ESSEC Business School in Paris, France. She was previously associate professor at the University of Brescia for a long time. She teaches courses for undergraduate, master, and PhD students in OR and logistics. Her scientific activity are models and algorithms for VRPs, mixed integer mathematical programming models for the minimization of the sum of inventory and transportation costs in logistic networks, exact and heuristic algorithms for supply chain management, reoptimization of combinatorial optimization problems. Claudia has carried out the scientific activity in collaboration with Italian and foreign colleagues and published joint papers with some of the best researchers at international level. She's the author of more than 70 papers in international journals. She was an area editor of CNR, and now she's associate editor of Omega, Transportation Science, Networks, Top, and Euro Journal of Computational Optimization, and member of the editorial board of EURO. Claudia is VIP3 of EURO, and she's in charge of publications and communication.
Yes.
Claudia, grazie mille.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here. It's a great honor. How are you?
First of all, let me thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation. First, let me thank you for the initiative. I find it really a great initiative. I'm not the only one. I think you received a lot of, good words from many colleagues who are appreciating a lot what you're doing. It's really something new and so beautiful and positive for us, for the community in general, for young people especially, and so thank you for that. I'm pleased and honored to be here. And coming back to your question, how are you? I'm very well, thank you. Yes.
Yes, I appreciate very much your words. I think it's very hot there. I mean,
here the let's say the famous Italian summer already started last week, so it's very hot and humid. It's 35 degrees, but I cannot complain. I love summer. I love the sun. I love. Fortunately, I'm also living close to a lake, and then I can enjoy being there in the weekend. So yeah, it's hot, but that's definitely beautiful.
Yeah. So tell me, are you from Brescia?
No, I was born and grown up, and I currently live in a small village, which is, let's say, around 20 kilometers west from Brescia, close to this lake I was mentioning earlier, that is the Lake of Iseo. The village is the village of Bornato. It's a very small one, with less than 5,000 people living.
Oh.
And so, so I was born and grown up here. And also when I got married, I moved from my former house to the distance from my former house to my current house is less than 1 kilometer. So,
yeah.
Yes.
So right now you're there.
Yes, exactly. I'm here at home. I spent, as many other people, I spent at home the last 1.5 years. Because of the pandemic, and now I'm here, and this is my place. Yes.
So I assume your parents are from that place originally, and what did they do for a living?
Okay, so yes, my parents are both. They born in the same village as me. So my father used to be a worker working in a car manufacturing company in Brescia, in the city. He's now retired. He retired around a little bit before 2000. While my mother was a housewife, so she was working just a bit before getting married, and then stopped when getting married. They are both from this village, and
So they're traditional Italian family.
Exactly, traditional Italian family. My family is a traditional Italian one, and yes, and as Italian tradition, when I got married, I married my husband, who is also from the same village, and I moved 1 kilometer away from my parents. Yes. Yes.
So, you have any brothers?
Yes, I have one brother who is 3 years older than me, and a young brother who is almost 10 years younger than me. Okay. So I'm the second one in the family, the only female, because I have two brothers. Yeah, that was, it was good to have two brothers. I would have loved also maybe to have one sister, but things happen like this.
It's out of our control. What did you do when growing up in the village?
In the village, so up to, let's say, you know that in Italy we have an elementary school, what we call medium school, and then high school. Up to medium school, I was attending elementary school and medium school in the village. We have the schools here in the village. Then for high school, I moved to Brescia. I mean, I was commuting to Brescia every day. So I did what we call in Italy Istituto Tecnico, that is kind of, it's not a lyceum, but it's more, let's say, practical oriented high school. In Brescia, which was, let's say, kind of, the matter was kind of business, let's say, business management high school.
So it seems that in your case, going to the university was not exactly an option.
Okay. This is let's say an interesting story, I would say. Okay, so in Italy, but I think this is more or less the same, at least in all European countries. When you start the high school, if you right at the beginning think that you want to continue your studies or going to the universities, then you will choose a lyceum, because they prepare the students with the goal of preparing them to the university studies. This was not my case at the age of 14. So I was 14. I was totally thinking about enjoying life, and that's it. So but I was also not pushed by my parents to do something, let's say, more, let's say, from one point of view, harder, let's say, but also something preparing me for the university studies. So I decided to go to this Istituto Tecnico. And then what happened? My older brother, he also attended an Istituto Tecnico as a high school. And remember, he's 3 years older than me. And when he finished his studies at high school, he was 19. My mother has always been, I say my mother because my mother has always been the strong, let's say, member of the family. She asked him, okay, you finished your studies, congratulations. Now, what would you like to do? Would you like to go to work or continue your studies to the university? And my brother said, no, I don't want to go to the university. I will go working. And she said, okay. She just, accepted his decision. And that was how the things went with my brother. So when 3 years later, I finished my study, I was expecting to get the same question from my mother, from my parents, but especially from my mother. But then I realized that this question was not coming. So at some point, I went to my mother and asked, why aren't you asking me the same question that you asked to Massimo, my brother?
So you protested too.
I was asking, why don't you ask me the same question if I want to continue to the universities or not? To the university or not? I have to say, still at 19, I had a very vague idea of what could be my future. So, yeah, I was not really decided about a specific path I wanted to take in my life. But I noticed that she was not asking me about if I wanted to continue or not with the university. So I asked her, why aren't you asking me? And her answer was, because you are a woman, you don't need to study. I said, what? What are you saying? No, I will never accept such an answer. That now I want to go to the university. That was my answer. And she was not angry, or she take it really relaxed. And she told me, okay, if you want to continue, you continue. I don't agree with your decision, but if you want to do it, do it. But you have to manage yourself. So you have to pay your studies, manage yourself, your studies at the universities. I will not put any obstacle on you. If you want to do it, you will do it. But you have to manage and you pay your studies. Mm-hmm. And this is what I did at the end. So I decided to, at that very specific point, I decided, no, now I want to continue my studies. I've always been good at school, especially math. I always loved math since the very beginning, since I was at the elementary school. So I was good, but as I was mentioning, I was still at 19, I was still thinking of what could be my future, etc. But then when I received this answer from my mother, I said, no, now I want to continue. I will continue to the university.
Yeah. And then you had to find a way to pay for your studies.
Yes, exactly.
So how you came up with a solution?
This is another good point. Then I started to think about what to do. Yeah, because I had to pay everything related to my studies. So I said, okay, given that this is the case, I have to find something which is in Brescia, because I will not be able to pay all the studies, everything related to my studies, if on top of that, I have to move. So I have to choose among the faculties or the programs that are available in Brescia. And in Brescia, there are two universities. One is the public university and one is private. So I had to choose the public university because the private one was too expensive. And in the public university, we had, and we still have, the economic faculty, the law, engineering, and medicine. And so I choose the economic faculty and the economic program. I have to say that, as I was mentioning, I love mathematics, so I would have preferred to study mathematics, but this was not possible due to these constraints. But at the end, I'm very happy about this decision, because I think that it was indeed a good decision, because in economics, you see many different things. It helps really a lot opening your mind, and so I was happy about that. And then coming back to your question about how I paid my studies. I started giving private lessons to students in the village, and also to students in Brescia. Specifically, there was a professor from the high school. She asked me when I was finishing my study, okay, I have a son, he's 10, I'm never at home, he needs someone helping him with the homeworks, would you be available? And I said yes. So he was my first student as private lessons, but then I also had many others one in the village. So then I organized my life during the university studies this way. In the afternoon, I was always giving, from Monday to Friday, sometimes also on Saturday, private lessons in the afternoon. And then the rest of the time was dedicated to studying. And attending classes when it was possible for me attending them, because of course I couldn't do that in the afternoon. And I also, from time to time, skipped also classes in the morning because I wanted to have some time to study. So this was how I managed to pay my studies. It went well. It went well. Yes,
Yeah,
this
very
is
very challenging to to find the income to pay for your studies in general, and then also find the time to study and dedicate your efforts, to take the classes and to prepare for exams. And talking about exams, you met a very special person during the first exam you did at the university.
Yes, exactly. So, okay, let's describe the entire background of this first exam I had during my studies at university. Okay, the first exam was the exam on mathematics. The course, let's call it basic or introductory course to mathematics in the program of economics. And this was and is by far considered by the students of the economics program the most difficult exam. Because it's mathematics. I also have to say that maybe, let's say, a large portion of the students attending economic studies, they are not that fan of mathematics. I was. But I was hearing all the other students around. At that time, when I started the university studies, the first year of economics program, we were more than 1,000 students. Wow. So a large group of students. So you have to imagine having 1,000 students for that exam. On top of that, you had the students that failed the exam in the former years, and there were plenty of them. So I had friends, also some friends who were older than me, and they were failing the exam 4 or 5 times. So they were keeping telling me, okay, this exam is extremely difficult, especially because you didn't do the lyceum, you come from Istituti Tecnico, you don't have the background. This is going to be extremely difficult for you. You have to panic. They told me, you have to be panic. I was not, because I was feeling quite prepared for the exam, but they were insisting, saying, well, it's too difficult. So at the end, I arrived at the exam that I was quite a little bit nervous. Yeah. And okay, and then the exam. I told you we were more than 1,000 students. At that time, the university of the Faculty of Economics of the University of Brescia didn't have yet the very nice building in which it is located now. So there were many rooms that were spread around the city.
Oh, okay, they're scattered, and you
scattered around the city. Yeah. And especially when there was such huge exam, it was organized we students were split in more than 10 groups in different rooms, scattered around the city. And by chance, in my room, we were, I think, less than 100 students, and the supervisor of that room was the person then was my mentor, and
very famous person.
Very famous person with a huge role in my life, professional life. Grazia Speranza. So she was there. She was also, the professor of the course, but it was by chance that she was supervising exactly the room in which I had the exam. Okay, so she was there. You know her, right? Because she was also one of your guests.
Yeah.
And she can be. You have to imagine a 90-year-old student at her first exam at university, and then Grazia, that she can be really serious.
Yeah, I know.
And
she's tall and all that. So.
Yeah. So I was quite nervous. And then at the exam, at all the exam, when you are about to enter into the room, they call you by name, and you have to go to the professor and show your
badge, identification or something.
Badge, exactly. So, and on my university badge, I had a picture like me, the hair this way, But since I had to do the exam, I did the ponytail because I didn't want the hair to disturb me during the exam. So I went to her showing my badge, and she, extremely serious, she told me, no, but it's not you. I mean, the picture in your badge is not exactly you. You have the ponytail. I became completely white, I think. She told me, I'm kidding. And this was the first time I met Grazia, and I will never forget about that.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing this.
Yes.
That's very nice. But then it didn't take that long for you to get married.
Yes. So at the age of 21, I got married at the age of 21 in September, when I was about to start the third year of my studies at university. At that time, we didn't have the current system in which you have 3+2. It was just a single, let's say, term of 4 years. So I was at the beginning of the third year of my studies, and I already knew my husband since long, and we decided to get married. I mean, he just told me, "What? We are together since long. Why don't we get married?" I said, "Yes, why not?" So I got married at the age of 21st, in the middle of my studies, and
Was your mom happy about that?
No, even in this case, she was not. Okay. So coming back to the let's say what I was telling you before, that I mean I did my studies even if she did not agree with me. Oh well, first I want to say that of course I was really upset when getting this answer from her, but then with time I was thinking about that, and I mean, this was clearly her way of viewing the life. I was grown in an environment where this was normal, right? But what is positive is that she accepted my decision, and then when she realized that I was doing very well at the university, I was managing, working, and going on with the exams. I was getting very good grades. I mean, she was proud of me. I mean, so she completely revised her point of view, her way of seeing what I was doing, and so she was proud of me. At the point that when I told her, okay, I'm going to get married, she again didn't agree with that, because she said, why? You are going so well at the university, you are doing so well at your studies. If you get married, you will stop your studies. I said, why? I mean, we didn't decide to get married because we wanted to have a baby. This was not, I mean, I had my first daughter later on, 7 years later. So we wanted to get married just because we decided to get married. And so I told her, why should this be the case? I'm going to live with my husband, but that's it. I mean, the life in two persons shouldn't be that more, let's say, time-consuming than being at home with you. I mean, we are sharing everything in the daily life. So, I mean, I think you're not right. I think I will perfectly continue with my studies even if I get married. And so, again, even if she did not agree, I decided to get married. And again, she said, okay, if you want to do that, do that. I will. Let's say, who is going to be right at the end? Of course, I was right at the end because I succeeded. I succeeded continuing with my studies, and again, of course, at the end, she was very happy and proud about that. Yeah.
So you got married before learning OR and coding. That's
definitely right. Yes, that's definitely right. At the time, when I was a university student, I didn't even have a PC at home.
Wow.
I didn't have it. No. Well, let's say from the kind of studies that I was doing, I didn't need it. I didn't feel the need. So I didn't have it. It was just when when I reached the point of having to work on my master thesis, that then I had to have a PC and I had to work on the computer, but this was much later than getting married. Yes, yes.
You took your course with
Grazia.
Grazia.
Yeah. Yes, this was at the beginning of the third year of my studies. And what I have to say is that OR, the course of OR, was not compulsory for the curriculum that I chose. So there were different curricula in the economics program. I chose, of course, the most quantitative one because I loved it. But OR was not a mandatory course there. It was an optional one. But then why I decided to take the course? First, because it was math, and I love math. And then because I knew the professor, Grazia. I knew that she's an excellent professor. I mean, we as a community know her for her research activity, for her seminars, presentation, for her achievements. But I can tell you, I had her as a professor, and she's an excellent professor. So I knew that. So I decided, well, two positive things together makes the choice. So I decided to get the operations research course, and in addition, this was one of the very few courses that I attended because, as I was saying before, I had to skip many classes. But this, I said, no, I want to attend the course. So I attended all lectures of operations research course, and I liked it so much that at the end, when I was doing the exam of OR, it consisted in a written exam first and then an oral exam later. So when I finished the exam, Grazia asked me, why did you choose the OR course, given that it was not mandatory for your curriculum? I said, yeah, because I liked the topic, and also because I would like to ask you if you accept me my supervisor for my master thesis. And she said, yes. So of course, I'm pleased because I was doing well in the course.
Under certain conditions.
Under condition, I was putting some conditions because I knew that I heard there were rumors that if you had a master thesis with a professor from the quantitative department, let's say, then you had to do some programming, some coding. And as I was mentioning, I didn't even have a PC at home, so I had no idea of what was coding. I've never seen it earlier in my life. So I said, okay, I would really love to have a thesis with you, but I don't want to code because I am not able. I never did it. I barely can switch on a computer, so I don't want to do that. And she said, don't worry, no problem. 2 months later, I was coding. So that's the story. Yeah. So I started my thesis, and 2 months later, I was coding.
Yeah. That was for finishing the undergraduate degree?
Yeah, it was undergraduate and master together.
Right.
Yeah.
So you study, it's when you started to study routing and optimization.
Okay, yes. So the thesis was in OR, so it was clearly on optimization. More specifically, at the time, Grazia was involved in a huge project which was related to routing, transportation and routing. And so my thesis was about a very simple problem that then became, in a more general setting, the topic of my PhD thesis afterwards. But it was a very simple routing problems with some simple assumption for coupling customers and so on. So this was the topic of my thesis. Specifically, it was related to an application in waste collection. this was the topic was kind of planning routes for vehicles that are doing waste collection. This was the topic of my master thesis.
Yeah. And you had to learn how to code. I think you started with Fortran, then you went to C, and you coded your first model, integer programming model in C using the callable library from Cplex, and this is not an easy task at all.
No.
So it's very impressive that you were able to accomplish this task at that time.
Yeah, it was hard, but it was also fun because when I started coding, as you mentioned, my first coding part for this problem related to waste collection, I coded it in Fortran. How I did it, given that I had no skills at all in coding, where I was, fortunately, I had Grazia supervisor who gave me some let's say hints of some books, also something to learn about how to write pieces of code. So I had her help, and also the help of my co-supervisor, who is Renata Mancini, again from the University of Brescia. Yes, she also helped me a lot in this part. So this way, I was capable of building a very, very basic code for kind of heuristic for this waste collection problem I was studying in my master thesis. And then at some point, Grazia told me, okay, this heuristic is okay, but now you have to compare it with the Excel solution, so you have to implement the model in Cplex. I said, oh, okay. So and then I asked the help to Renata, and so she helped me in understanding and finding out what is the callable library and how you can do some bit of code in the callable.
So what did you do after completing your master's?
Okay, then I got my master's degree in December 1998. And during when I was studying and for my master thesis, I noticed that I liked it a lot. And I discovered there during the studies for my master thesis, I discovered the opportunity of continuing with a PhD. And I said, why not? I like it. So I discussed this with Grazia, and she was in favor of that. But the point was that I got the degree in December 1998, and the PhD program started, in September or October. So I missed that let's say, the kind of deadline for a couple of months. So I had to wait for the next PhD cycle, the next year for applying to a PhD. So in the meantime, so I had kind of one empty year to fill in. So what I did was I had an internship in a public utility company, let's say the company of the city of Brescia, who is managing different things like public transportation, mobility systems, but also this company is managing the waste collection service in the city. And of course, I got in contact with them because of the fact that my master thesis was inside the project Grazia was involved in, so she already had contact with them. And so, she told me that there was this opportunity of getting an internship there. So I applied, I got the internship. And this was also a nice experience because I spent 1 year with this company in practice since the end of my master thesis up to the time at which I started the PhD the next year. And what I did during this year was they wanted to have kind of software, very basic software for scheduling the routes of the vehicles. So, and this is what I did. I was dedicated to this project. So I developed the code. In this case, it was in Visual Basic because they needed a, let's say, kind of friendly interface, user interface. So I was using Excel spreadsheet and interacting with some code in Visual Basic. So I developed this code. And I found it interesting because this was exactly applying the kind of ideas that I had during the master's thesis for the development, something that that should be used in practice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Were you still giving private classes during that period?
Yes. I continued. I started giving private lessons when I started my university studies, and I continued up to the starting of the PhD. When I started the PhD, I of course stopped because,
but
I had the fund.
Why did you learn from that experience?
From the private lessons experience, it was tough, of course, but I think it gave me a lot, because what I learned is that I think with most of the students that I had during this period, I was successful, meaning that they were happy with me, with the way I was teaching with them. And I think the main point is that I realized that to me, it's very important to create a connection with the student. So, of course, there is the topic that you have to teach to the student, related to the difficulty of the student. But on top of that, to me, it's important to understand, to try to understand what is the interest of the student, to try to figure out what is the way of thinking, so that you can better also realize what are the doubts and the difficulties. So creating a connection with the student was extremely important to me. When I was giving the private lessons, of course, I learned it after a while, because it took me a while to understand that it was really important. But this meant a lot to me, because this has always been, since that moment on, my way of teaching. Also, when afterwards I got my position, when I started giving courses at the university, to me, it has always been extremely important. Even when you have large classes, I was also teaching to very large classes, and of course, in this case, it's more difficult, right, to create a connection. But you have your students, and you can realize when you are able to capture their interest, or at least the interest of most of them. And when it is the case, then you understand what is the things that they want to learn. And this way, you can shape what you're teaching in such a way that they are attracted by what you're saying. I still remember one of my first courses as assistant professor. It was a big one. It was a course about logistics, in which I was showing them some mathematical formulation of some very basic problems. So, and I still remember the faces when I told them, okay, here, let's describe the problem. Okay, this is the problem. You want to decide how much you produce. How can you do that? And then I was showing them the decision, the variables, the problem formulation, and then said, okay, now let's solve it. Okay, this is the solution. This is what you have to do. They were really surprised. They saw this as a magic, and this was I was so happy to see their reaction, and I think this is important, right?
Great. You started your PhD in Bergamo, and you started working on a problem that made you famous.
Yes. This was kind of continuation, because the problem I studied during my master thesis was on the waste connection, and it was about routing, of course, with split deliveries. And then when continuing to the PhD, and we decided to generalize the problem setting that I had studied during my master thesis, and it turned out to be the split delivery vehicle routing problem. So this was the main topic of my PhD thesis, and it was the topic that I studied for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you also spent a period abroad during the PhD, correct?
Yes, exactly. So I started the PhD in 1999,
Mm-hmm.
and at that time, it was almost mandatory to spend a period abroad during the second year. So the PhD was a 3 years program, and it was like mandatory to spend the second year, almost the entire second year abroad. And so, okay, and then the PhD, my supervisor of the PhD was Grazia, of course. And so I discussed with her about my period abroad because I was married. So I told her, okay, I'm happy to have my period abroad. Just that, given that I'm married and my husband will stay at home, I would like to have a destination which is not too far from home, so that I would say, oh, please don't send me to the US because I will never come back to home. And she said, yes, of course. And this was also, she had a lot of contacts, of course. And so at the end, we decided to, fantastic place. So I spent my year in Lausanne at the EPFL, École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne, visiting two great professors there, Dominique and Alain Hertz.
Excellent.
So I had the opportunity of meeting them. I was guest of both of them, but I worked mainly with Alain Hertz.
Can you briefly summarize the contributions of your PhD research and the papers you got as an outcome?
Yeah. So. As I mentioned, the main topic of my PhD thesis was the split delivery VRP, but not only that. So it was enlarged to also some other routing problems. So in fact, my first published paper comes from the PhD thesis. It's a paper which was published in 2003. Co-authored by Grazia and Luca Bertazzi, a colleague from Brescia. And it's about reoptimizing the traveling salesman problem. So it has nothing to do with, it's not split delivery VRP. It's routing, yes, but it's not split delivery VRP. And this was my very first paper in 2003. But then from 2004 on, I have a series of papers all concentrated on split delivery VRP, even if it is not mentioned split delivery in the title. It's just because we were not using yet the name, let's say, split delivery VRP. So my second paper, there is 2004, and it is on a problem which is the split delivery VRP. Even if we didn't call it like this, we call it the skip collection problem. And
was that a paper with the three ladies from Brescia?
Exactly. It is a paper with 3 ladies, which is quite unusual, and all the 3 from Brescia. It was me, Renata, and Grazia, and this was published in George. And that was. I'm very proud about this paper. The 3 ladies from Brescia. Even if I have to say that in my career, I, of course, have a number of papers with 2 ladies, me and Grazia. We have plenty of them together. So I did not count how many of them I have with Grazia, but a lot of them. But I also have quite a few papers with 3 ladies. So I have 9 papers with 3 co-authors, and all the 3 co-authors are ladies. So
that's unusual and very, very inspiring. So you did a fantastic PhD. You basically established yourself as a researcher and made important contributions to very important VRP variant. And let's talk a little bit about the influence of Grazia and your friendship with her that led perhaps one of the most successful partnerships in OR. You told me that somebody else made a comment that Grazia put Brescia in the OR map. Yeah, on our map. Yeah. But you have a couple of stories that kind of illustrate the level of friendship and collaboration you have. Can you describe some of them, please?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks for this question because you give me the opportunity of giving the right tribute to Grazia. To me, I think everybody knows in the community that she had a huge role in my professional life, in my career, and and I love this comment from a colleague, a friend of Grazia, who said, "You put Brescia on the map." That's true. That's true. She's a strong woman. She had really fantastic achievement, and she has always been an example for me because I'm a lady too. I'm a woman, and I saw her so successful, so determined, and I said, "Yeah, I mean, from this point of view, I've been extremely lucky." And so we always had a strong relationship. Professionally speaking, we did, and we are still doing a lot of research together. But our partnership, I think, also benefit from the strong personal relation that we had. And indeed, I have a number of nice, funny stories that can give you like an idea of what is the relationship that we have. I have plenty of them. Well, the first one was the one related to the exam. I already told you. And then
there's the CD one, I think. That's what she told me.
Yes. The CD story. It was when we. This is a story involving the entire operations research group of Brescia. So when we were celebrating the 50th birthday of Grazia, so we as a group decided to give a very, let's say, special gift to her. So you might know that Grazia Speranza, her name is Maria Grazia Speranza, but everybody calls her Grazia because she doesn't like the name Maria. And so just to give this special gift to her, we produced this CD with a lot of songs with the name Maria on the title, and this was the gift for her
That's a very good one.
birthday. Yes.
Yeah, and then you made a prank on her.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. This was also funny. This on April's Fool. It was at the time in which Grazia has completed his term as dean of the faculty. She has been dean for the faculty for 2 terms, so for quite a long period. At the end of this term, she decided to have a sabbatical year, of course. Yeah. So as she had to go to sabbatical, someone had to cover her courses in the programs, and I had one of them. Shortly, and this was decided at some point, and the course should have started in September. But the decision was already made at the beginning of the year. So at April's Fool, I decided to make a prank to her. And I have to say that Grazia gives a lot of satisfaction in this sense, because you think that every time she will immediately catch that you are kidding, but this is not the case. So you really feel that she's really worrying and nervous, and that's fantastic with her. So I contacted her on Skype, and I said, okay, I have something to tell you. It's quite important, but sorry, my mic is not working, so we cannot talk. And I said that because I was sure that if I would have talked to her, I would have started immediately laughing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and she, yes, tell me, please tell me. And I said, okay, there might be an issue with the course that is going to start in September, because I might not be available for a while, because it might be that something will happen in more or less 9 months from now. So I'm not. And she said, "Are you pregnant?" And I said, "April Fool."
Yeah, I also like to do some pranks with my friends and colleagues. Quite known for that, by the way. That was a very good one. I think she could. I think she for a second she maybe had
Yes,
freaked. Yeah.
yes, yes, yeah.
Again, I think you also had some little adventure in London.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So then, yeah, she, of course, um, she was happy about this joke, but and then she went to London. I think she left London in September,
Mm-hmm.
and in January of the next year, I went and visit her in London. She asked me, would you like to come and visit me for a couple of days? We can work a little bit and then enjoy London. You can visit some places. And I said, yes, for sure. And then I went and visit her for, I think, 3 to 4 days, something like this. I went to her place. She was living in a village close to London, but not in London. So you had to take the train from this village to go to the London center. It took, let's say, half an hour. And then we had a very good time. We were working a bit, visiting a bit. I mean, very nice experience. But then the last day I had the flight late in the evening. So we made a plan. So we said, okay, let's do like this. We will leave in the morning with your luggage. And then we will go to London. You will leave the luggage at the train station when we will arrive to the train station. Then we will go around the city, visit a little bit the city. And then when it's time to go for you to the airport, you will go to the train station, pick up your luggage, and then take the train, go to the airport, and go home. Okay, so yeah, good, perfect. So then in the morning, I wake up, I prepared my luggage, and then I put it in the car. We went to the station, went on the train. We sit down on the train, and when we sit down, Grazia told me, where is your luggage? I said, well, come on, because I was, in my mind, I didn't say that, but in my mind I was saying, come on, she is always forgetting everything. Well, come on, I said, Grazia, my luggage is in the car. Oh my God, my luggage is in the car. So we tried to run out of the train before the train was leaving, but we didn't. So we didn't succeed. So the plan was gone. So at the end, what we did was we went to London. We visited a bit, but then we came back, picked up my baggage, and then I returned back to London again.
Finally, you have also the graph optimization conference story.
Yes, yeah. This is also another. This was a very nice experience. In 2014, we organized in Sirmione, which is a very beautiful place on the Lake of Garda, so close to Brescia. We organized this conference, a Go conference. Go means graph optimization conference. Typically, these conferences are organized for celebrating some colleagues, some famous colleagues. And the one we organized in Sirmione, we were celebrating 3 colleagues, and one of them was Grazia. And it was me and Luca who organized. We were the local organizers. It was me and Luca organizing this conference there. And of course, we did it because we wanted to celebrate at best Grazia, because we had to kind of say thank to her in the best possible way. And the event was a success. The place was absolutely fantastic. I think it was one in which they had the highest peak of participants because of the place. It's really beautiful. And then during that conference, I didn't give any scientific presentation. But I prepared, again with the help of Luca, who is also organizing with me the conference, I prepared a talk that I gave during the conference dinner. And it was a talk about Grazia. So I was talking about Grazia, about the different funny stories, and it was super great. It was so great that some friends and colleagues, years afterwards, they told me, well, that talk was the best talk ever. So it seems that my best talk ever is not a scientific one, but it was the one of this conference. Yes.
Yeah, I think the stories you described, I mean, they're a perfect example of healthy partnership. And even though you worked with her and she was your mentor for a long time, but still the bond and all the friendship developed, and I think that was crucial for the success you have in producing many papers and supervising students and so on. So that is
I definitely agree. I mean, we've always worked perfectly together. We understand each other perfectly. And the key of the successful relation has been, on one side, I mean, she has always, of course, at the very beginning, now less, of course, but she has always guided me. She has a lot of, let's say, positive attitude. One of the things is that she can identify what are interesting problems, interesting directions, research that you should investigate. So she has always been a guide in this direction. She's an extremely hard worker. So we had a lot of fun together, but we also worked a lot because this was always clear since the very beginning for everyone in our group. You have to work a lot. I mean, if you are a member of the group of Grazia, you have to work a lot. But at the same time, we were enjoying the working because of this really friendly and also collaborative relationship.
Yeah, that's very nice. So you spent 3 years doing postdoc, and you worked on the inventory routing problem, a very challenging variant of VRPs. Right.
Yeah, this was a project that we started during my postdoc period. So I finished the PhD in 2002, and then I had this postdoc position again in the University of Brescia. And at that time, Gilbert Laporte came and visited us, and he proposed this challenging problem, the inventory routing problem. And the group was composed by Gilbert, of course, Grazia, Luca, and me. And of course, I was the young member of the group, so I was the one that in charge of the coding part. And so yes, they described me the problem. I said, yeah, that's extremely interesting and challenging. I said, well, just one thing. During my PhD thesis, I was coding heuristics, mainly heuristics. So I was not an expert in exact approaches. So I said, okay, let's go for a heuristic, because I have no experience in exact approaches, like, for example, branch and cut. But then at the end, we did a branch and cut. Yes.
The story repeats. They said, no, okay, and then
the story repeated. But again, as for the first time, this was an excellent choice, because then we came out with the first branch and cut algorithm for the inventory routing problem, which is one of the, I think it's not one of the, it's my most cited paper.
Nice. Yeah. Also, you finally got a position in Brescia, right?
Yeah. In 2005, yes.
Yes. Also, at that time, you were developing also other interesting collaborations.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Something that I like to share with you. I collaborated with, of course, a part of the colleagues from Brescia, Grazia, and all the other colleagues. I collaborated with many other colleagues from different countries. but one of the most long-standing collaboration, but also one of the most fruitful collaboration is the one with Dominique Feillet from France, from École de Saint-Étienne in Gardanne in France. Mm-hmm. We met each other when we were PhD students. We are more or less the same age. So we met when we were PhD students. I attended these. There was at the time a very interesting series of workshops dedicated only to PhD students. They were called ORP3 workshops. This one was in Paris, and the idea of this workshop was just for PhD students, and the organizers were, so you as PhD student, you submitted your topic, your talk, and the organizers were pairing the students on the basis of the topic. So you were paired with another student, so you were the discussant of the talk of the other student, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And Dominique was my discussant. Oh. So yeah. So we met there. I think this was in 2001. So we met there for the first time, and then later on, years later, we kept being in contact. But years later, we started collaborating. If I remember correctly, our first joint paper was on a routing problem with profits, and then we continued collaborating. I'm still working with him, and this is one of the best collaboration outside the group of Brescia that I had. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So now it's my turn to tell a story. We met for the first time in 2011, and I mean, you were already there, well established, and your career was just doing really well, and I was just starting. And then we met in the conference. There were very famous people around, and in the very first day we sat together to have dinner in the same table, and you sat very next to me. So at that time, I was, seeing so many famous people, and I was kind of labeling them according to the problem or for the VIP variant they're famous for. And instead of greeting you as a normal human being, say, hi, hello, ciao, something like that, I just said, split delivery. And then I think you for a second or two, you were a bit confused. I said, this guy must be really weird, but you were very polite and kind and said yes. And then we started talking, and then I told you that we were working on the problem with a friend of mine, Marcos Melo Silva. You met him later on, the guy with the long hair, very funny guy.
Yes, yeah.
And then you were very interested in the work, and I was very happy. I mean, maybe it was not the most polite way, if you will, to start a conversation, but it built up nicely. And then I told you, we started working. Then what are you doing? And then we exchanged some information. We discussed a bit. And I'm very glad because David Pissinger was just in front of me, and I didn't greet him saying knapsack. I think I realized, that is not the best way to approach someone, but still, but then years later, we got our paper on the split delivery published, and it's still today I think the state-of-the-art heuristic for the problem. And I could never imagine that we'll reach such nice result and so on. But I remember you were super nice. Grazia also super nice to me at that conference. So apparently I have this tendency to connect well with Italians. Yeah, right. You became associate professor in 2014, and then after 5 years or so, you left, and many people were surprised by that. So can you tell me how was the process?
Yes. This was indeed a tough decision. I became, as you mentioned, associate professor in 2014. And I don't know whether in Italy now, the process is that first you need to get the habilitation for being associate or full. And then you need to find a position. When a university opens a position, you apply this is the process. So I got my habilitation as full professor in 2017. But then I realized that, there were, let's say, no opportunities for becoming full in Brescia or more generally in Italy, fortunately, but this was because of the situation,
Mm-hmm.
So I was starting wondering maybe I should, take the opportunity for, looking for an experience outside Italy at this point, because there was no possibility in Italy. So I shared my thoughts with Grazia, so she was aware about that. And that is also something I appreciated a lot, because of course she was sad about this kind of decision.
Mm-hmm.
I know her since 1994.
Mm-hmm.
We were been working together since the time I was a PhD, since my master's thesis in '97. I started my master's thesis in '97, so more than 20 years that we were working together. So she was sad to hear that I was considering the possibility of moving, but I was sure about the fact that she would have understood my point of view, and it is what happened. So yes, she was sad, but she started giving me suggestions and support. So it was a tough decision also for me. But then there was this opportunity that came out, the position at ESSEC. So I saw the announcement of this position in October 2019, and so I applied, and there was the procedure. You send your CV, and then if you are selected, you go for an interview, and then they interview all the people in the shortlist. And in around, let's say, end of April, I received the information, say that I was selected. And so I decided to accept. And then this was the story. So in terms of my, let's say, my links with the Brescia world, because it's there where I spent my entire professional life. Yes. Yeah, they're still strong, of course. I'm still working, still have strong connection with all the members of the group, and especially Grazia. And as I was mentioning earlier, she was really supportive also in my decision. She understood my point of view. Of course, she was sad, but yeah.
You were very transparent to her, and she understood, and she gave you support, and that's what friends are for in the end. So
yes.
So it's a very nice. I mean, it's a little bit heartbreaking, but it's perfectly understandable. It's. So I have a feeling that the fact that your mom did not fully support your decisions somewhat contributed to the success in your life. It probably made you strong, and you're definitely very assertive as well. Were these characteristics enough to prevent you from suffering any gender issues?
Okay, this is a very good question. So first, yes, I think that the fact that my mom did not agree with me in two very important decisions in my life, because the first one was continuing the study, the second one was getting married. So she did not agree, and it was the first time when I was 19 that I took a strong decision that going against what she wanted. That is definitely contributing in making me stronger than I was. Probably I was already. Everybody told me that I'm a strong person, so probably I was already like this. But this helped me a lot in this way. and also the fact that she did not agree when I got married. But I think that it was also extremely important for me to see that even if she did not agree, she completely changed her mind when she saw that I was right. So this was also important for me, because I think I learned that I have to believe in what I want, even if someone as important in my mind does not agree. But if I believe it is the right thing, it is correct, I should continue, even if there are difficulties. And I think this was extremely important. Going to the gender issue, I think that this helped me a lot. Generally speaking, I have to say that this experience with my mom helped me a lot. Professionally speaking, I have to come back again to Grazia. I was, and I'm happy to come back again to Grazia. I was very, very lucky, extremely lucky from this point of view. Because she has been my mentor from the very beginning. She's a lady, she's strong, she's really determined. So I had her as an example, and I was noticing that she succeeded in what she wanted to do. Of course, she was always very engaged, very dedicated, passionate to what she was doing, and she succeeded. She has been dean of the faculty, which was really something not common at all at that time. So this helped me a lot, because I think I've never even realized gender issue because of that, because I had her. So I was simply relaxed, always relaxed in any situation. Never felt like, okay, I'm a woman, I might be disadvantaged. No, I was not feeling that. So I didn't feel that. And this helps a lot, because then if you don't think that you might be disadvantaged, you continue your way. And I think also the other person, males or females, they see that you have no, let's say you are not insecure. You have no doubt. We are going on with what you want or what you think you want to do. And this was extremely helpful for me. In fact, I have to say that in my career, I personally have no negative experience related to gender. I was never disadvantaged, or I was never feeling in a, let's say,
or you never realized that you were in a disadvantage.
I never realized that I was maybe in a disadvantage or difficult position.
Right.
And I think it's because of that. And also because Grazia on one side, and my mom on the other side, who has always been the strong member of the family.
Right. So finally, you are an associate editor of several important journals, as I mentioned in the beginning. I would like to hear your views on the current editorial policy concerning our journals, especially when compared to other fields.
Okay, this is a very important topic, and I thank you for asking me this question. I think we, as an OR community, we are experiencing the current trend, which is going in the direction of AI, machine learning, data-driven methodologies, data-driven optimization, or data-driven whatever methodology it is. We have seen recently these 3 brilliant young colleagues who got 3 chairs in Canada related to AI, and they are all from OR. and they got this position. So there is this trend moving in the direction of these topics. The AI and machine learning community is growing a lot. They are eating us, in fact. We as a operations research community, we are not growing in the same way. This is my opinion. I do not want to say that we have to go in the AI direction or in the machine learning direction. I don't want to say that, but I think that we should open our community to research topics that are broader in a sense.
Application oriented.
Application oriented, exactly.
So the society can better understand the contributions of OR.
Exactly. Because one might claim, okay, there are journals that accept this kind of papers. First, the main point is that the top journals, they typically don't. They in a sense, many of them are still more related to what we can call contribution, methodological contribution, closely related to the scientific methodological contribution of the paper itself. And this is good. I love them. I love these kind of contributions. I think we all love them. We all love them. So I think we should continue. We should push for this contribution. Definitely, this is our job, and this is the beauty of our job. And this is the beauty of OR and what we are doing. But the journals mainly should open and try to include these new trends, new problems, application, being closer to what's going on in the world. I'm working since the very beginning in routing line logistics. Now the e-commerce is completely, reshaping the logistic and distribution environment. We should definitely go into. We are because the community is active on that. And what I'm noticing, given that I'm involved in the editorial board of European but also influence journals, I'm noticing that the journals are indeed moving in that direction. Maybe the point is that we are not moving as fast as the AI or machine learning community is doing. So there is this risk of being, let's say, kind of obscured by them because they are, let's say,
on mainstream, and there's a hype also. So it's very hard.
Yeah. So it's good that this trend has started in important journals. Also, we should continue, maybe also accelerate a bit because the others are going very fast.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Also, when you ask a student what he wants to study, and sometimes going through the methodological aspect of OR in the sense of devising a very advanced, exact, and heuristic algorithms for a classical variant, or using artificial instances, might not be that attractive when compared to real life applications where you can see the results that are more connected with the reality, and working perhaps with even real life data and so on, as you said. So it's tough to compete against this.
Yes, it's tough to compete, but I think we have all the expertise and everything that is needed to compete and to be there in this environment. Many colleagues are there. Yeah? Okay, if you look at the people working in Amazon, we have a lot of famous OR professors working.
I have friends working there.
Because we have the expertise. So it's a matter of, continuing and insisting on this, and also discussing. I think. Now the community has realized it's moving. I hope it will continue and maybe going a little bit faster than what it is doing right now.
Well, Claudia, I would like to thank you for your time. It was wonderful to have you here. Grazie mille. I mean, to learn all the stories and those with Grazia, especially, they're awesome. I mean, you made my day. I'm so happy for that. Thank you.
Oh yeah, grazie mille a te. Grazie. And I want to thank you a lot for giving me this opportunity. As I said, this is a great initiative. I had the opportunity of talking about my life, of what has been really important for me in my professional life, and I'm really happy to share this with you and with all the community of subject. Yes.
Thank you so much, Claudia. I had a blast. I hope things improve soon with respect to the pandemic, and I wish you all the best in your life in Paris. And let's keep in touch, and looking forward to collaborating with you at some point. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Grazie.
Grazie.
Ciao.
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 Bye.
Ciao. Bye bye.
Bye.